The Moshe asked us a question here, based on the halacha in the Shulchan Aruch and Even HaEzer. It says, "Chayav kol adam lisa isha kedei lirfot ulirbot." A person needs to marry in order to be fruitful and multiply, not to have kids in this world, right? And then it says, "Noldu lo zachar v'nekeva." Right? If he had a boy and a girl, like how he's going to fulfill that, right? If he has a boy and a girl, and if we know that they are able also to have kids, he fulfilled the mitzvah, the requirement of piriyah v'reviyah. Okay? So you need to have a boy and a girl. And then those kids are able to bring also, they brought a boy and a girl. So therefore a person was mekayem, he fulfilled the mitzvah of piriyah v'reviyah. טוב, כיוון שיש לאדם זכר ונקבה, קיים מצוות פריה ורבייה, והוא שלא יהיה בן סריס או בעדה עניונית. Okay, fine. But what happens if you have only girls? And what happens if you have only boys? So you didn't fulfill the mitzvah of piriyah v'reviyah? You miss a big mitzvah. Or let's say, for example, there is a mitzvah of pidyon ben zachar, the bechor, the firstborn child that was born regularly, right? He had a regular birth, so you have to redeem it. Well, what happened if you have a first girl? Or what happened if the mother had a miscarriage? Or what happened if the boy was born C-section? What, you miss on the mitzvah, so you're not going to be able to fulfill all the mitzvot of the Torah? It's a terrible thing, isn't it, according to what you asked? Well, the answer is as follows, and that's a very interesting concept that we need to learn to adapt to our lives in many aspects and many different situations of our lives. And what do I mean? Not everything is in your ability to do. Concentrate on what you could do. For example, let's say a person is sick, right? Has a flu, nothing major, has a flu, sits down at home. Now, what should he do about it? Of course, he should take, his medicine and vitamins or whatever it is to do whatever he can to get better. But what most people do is complain about their situation and basically miss a golden opportunity to actually do something with himself. And that's the same thing as a person, for example, is in a situation in his life that he seems right now stuck or whatever it is. So instead of doing something positive about it, so let's say, for example, you have a flu and you're sitting down at home, and you can go outside, and you can go on a trip, and you can go hiking, and you can go to work, and you can go to the movies, and you can do all, you can. People concentrate on what they cannot do, rather than says, okay, you know what? That really is from heavens. What do I mean? Sit down at home, let's say you have a flu. Make yourself a nice cup of tea, drink a cup of tea. You can read a book. You could make telephone calls to friends that you have neglected calling in a long time. Call people, see how they're doing, reconnect with people that were important to you, and for whatever reason you got so busy, and so on and so forth. So therefore, I'll call it the art of letting go. You need to I'm not saying give up, but you need to accept the situation as it is, because right now you can't change it. And the only thing that you need to do is to do what? See what's the best you could do out of this situation. Because when you resent the situation and you're concentrating on what you cannot do, you fall yourself into paralysis. You're only concentrating on what cannot be done, or what you cannot do, or what you cannot achieve, instead of saying, okay, so this is closed, so I'm going to try something else. You can try the same thing all over and over and over again. It's like, I call it the Winnie the Pooh syndrome. What do I mean? Imagine you have a very narrow pathways, and you're a big guy. You have big shoulders. Maybe there's a little belly over there, and you're trying to getting through the door and you can't fit. I mean, what are you going to do? We're going to break the door. You can't. So what are you going to do? Go to another door. But the other door is the same size. You can't go through it. Instead of saying, 1 second, if I can't go this way, so let me just see. Well, one thing I could do is maybe shrink a little bit, or I'll just try to go sideways. Well, my belly is in the way. Okay, so let me suck the belly in, and I'm going to walk in. Try to make the best of the situation. Most people don't do that. And because you don't do that, you end up losing control of the situation because you feel trapped. And if you ever see an animal being trapped, the animal goes crazy. And usually that's what brings to the animal's death. Instead of simply loosening yourself up, and try to make the best of the situation. And that's what the Torah is trying to teach us as well, many times. To be able to be mekabel, to receive the situation, whatever life had handed to you. That's what you can do the best with. But don't think that if life handed you a certain set of cards, it's necessarily bad cards. But this is the reality of what you have to make. And it doesn't mean that, okay, I'm not striving to become better or to do things that are, but you're trying to make the best out of your situation. If you want to snap out of the situation, all you're going to do is accept the situation, evaluate it, and utilize the tools that life had handed you to do the best possible thing you could do. Imagine, I know a guy, he couldn't go into dental school. He was going to try. Finally, it did. Is he going to become a good doctor or a good dentist? Not necessarily. So let's say for him, he should have become something else, or to become this or become that. You cannot follow what everybody else does and whatever everybody determines is good for them. You were born here by yourself. You need to be able to take your tools and make the best out of it. So if, for example, your talent is to work with, first graders, with little kids, but mommy wants you to become a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant or something so you can make a lot of money. So you're finally able to get yourself to school, to law school, or into medical school, or into whatever, becoming an accountant, a CPA, or whatever it is. You're going to become a very lousy CPA, doctor, lawyer, or whatever that is, because you don't have the right tools to do that. It's like trying to open a screw. Instead of a Phillips head, you're trying to use a flat one, you're trying to use a chisel, yes, you could do it, but along the line you're going to ruin everything else is there. You can use a flat head, you can use a plier, you can use a hammer, you can use a napalm bomb, but you're going to destroy it. It doesn't fit. And we need to understand that sometimes that's what it is. We try to make the best of the situation. That causes a lot of resentment if we don't do it, in terms of also realizing who's going to be your spouse. We don't want to accept the fact that we are, for example, balding, fat, hairy, and ugly. We want somebody stunning. But look at the reality. So instead of paying attention to that, so try to pay attention to what's in your hand to change. You can change your hand to grow more hair. I mean, what, you're going to look like an artificial turf, start growing hair on your head? What are you going to do? You're going to do plastic surgery? What's in your hand is to make yourself into a better person. And therefore get yourself a wife that would fit that better person that you are, not the externalism that you would like everybody else falls under. So it's accepting the situation, learning to live with it, and trying to utilize the situation in the best possible way. I'll give you an example. Look at Japan. Look at Korea. But more so Japan. Japan, after the war, was destroyed completely. Completely. And they didn't sit back on reminiscing on the past. We were this, we were this. They tried to do whatever they can to use their discipline, their mentality, and so on and so forth to slowly make the best possible thing. So if the Japanese, let's say for example, are very good at taking a concept and making it better, so they did that, and today Japan is a superpower in terms of economy and the things that they could manufacture and so on and so forth. I think it's only due to the limitations that basically the United States had put on Japan in terms of creating an army, but Japan can make like amazing weapons. They make unbelievable airplanes. They make unbelievable everything. So Japan cannot become an America in terms of, the way the Americans think, but Japan does what Japan does the best, and that's what makes Japan to what it is today. The same thing with Korea. But when you want to become something else that you're not going to succeed. You're going to fail. So therefore, you need to know who you are, what you're about, analyze the situation, and utilize the tools that you have to make the best out of it. Have a wonderful day.